do we add a client into ShiftCare? It's pretty straightforward and simple, but a couple of things you should know. To add a client, all you have to do is come over to your list. So as you can tell, there's nobody in here. Usually I'd be able to view like a list of all of my clients, but I don't have anyone in here yet. And to add those clients, I would simply just click this button in the top right corner, add client. And then I'll be given some demographic information to essentially just add the client in. You'll get a first name, last name, but you'll also get a display name. So if you wanted them to show up differently on the calendar for some reason, you can add that display name in here. In addition to that, the address, I'll get to that in a second. And then you have like their contact information in here as well. So this is just some general information to get started. There is a client profile. I'll do a different video where you can add additional contacts and a bunch of other functionality in there. But the most important part of this is going to be adding their address in. So adding their address in is going to be important because ShiftCare has geolocation, and we have a feature called clock in location check, where ultimately the care worker won't be able to actually clock in or out of their shift unless they're at the location. It is a setting in the time settings that you can toggle on and off, but they won't be able to clock in or out of the shift unless they're actually at the address that you have in here, because the address you have in here is then going to tie to the client. So in order to add that address in, it is important that you use an address that is actually valid and pops up on here. So if I just start typing an address out, it's going to start to give me some options. You just want to make sure you use an address that actually pulls up here. And you definitely don't want to use a unit or apartment number because it won't populate. You'll just put that unit or apartment number down here. As you can see, when I add the address, that little triangle goes away. We want to make sure that happens. And there is another detail here. Updating the address does not change the address for existing shifts where the client's home address is being used. So basically, if you go in and you change somebody's address in their profile, but you already had a bunch of shifts scheduled for them with a different address, it's not going to just automatically update those shifts. You have to go update those shifts. And that's by design, because let's say you've scheduled 3 shifts for a client for the rest of the week. They then inform you that they're moving over the weekend and they'll require services at their new location starting next week. So rather than needing to go in and reschedule all those shifts, it's going to give you the flexibility for the address change with the future shifts while keeping the scheduled shifts kind of as is. If you do need to change the address on the shifts scheduled, it's as simple as editing and adding a new address. In addition to that, you can also, if you have situations where maybe somebody is being picked up at one location and brought to another and then provided some type of care, you do have the ability when scheduling a shift to add a drop-off address as well. So that comes into play. But just making sure that you have that address correct in here is going to be very important.